Hello, brothers and sisters. I wanted to do a video somewhat recapping the topic of the Antichrist, the man of sin from yesterday, and I want to do a comparison from the book of Daniel and Revelation proving that the papacy in Vatican Rome is indeed the prophesied man of sin. Thousands of years ago, Daniel was told to seal up the book and the revelation that he was given because it referred to the time of the end, which I'm convinced, are in now. Before we begin, I wanted to, before I read you some excerpts from the book of Daniel, I wanted to read Daniel chapter 2, starting in verse 21. Speaking of the Lord, he gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. So as we begin, this is a promise from the Lord that as you look into these topics, if you're interested in them, learning more about who is this Antichrist, is it a Muslim man coming from a Muslim nation? Is it a Jew from Israel? I believe that hidden in these deep and hidden things within the Word of God, namely in the book of Daniel and Revelation, if we ask the Lord's Spirit for discernment, he will give it. And I believe that the man of sin is none other than the papacy in Rome. The very name Vicarius Filii Dei that the Pope goes by adds up to 666. It is the number of a man. It is a political power and a religious power. The two keys that you see in the emblem for the Vatican are for temporal power and for heavenly power, eternal power, which he claims to have. As we will read in Daniel and confirmed in Revelation, he will exalt himself above all that is called God, so that he sits in a temple of God, declaring that he is God. All through the papal dynasty, the popes have claimed to be God on earth. The very title Vicarius Filii Dei is Latin for the Pope stating in his title, I am living vicariously the life of the Son of God. I am the Son of God on earth. Popes have said, when they actually quoted, that if you see the Pope and hear the Pope, you're not simply hearing the Pope, but Jesus Christ himself in the flesh. This is blasphemy. And the one to come, this Antichrist, remember the word anti in Greek, as we went over in the previous video, means a substitute for or a replacement for, a stand-in for. This Antichrist would take the place of the Son of God on earth and claim to be the head of the church, the visible head of the church. All right, and this is none other than the little horn of Daniel. So remember, God promises in Daniel chapter 2, starting in verse 21, that he will reveal deep and hidden things if you seek him about it. Let's start in Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. And as we read this, I want to focus on the last empire that will be ruling in the world before the Lord comes back. This will be the Roman Empire. And this was also seen in Nebuchadnezzar's dream to be none other than the Roman Empire. As a matter of fact, in the book of Daniel, which we'll read in a minute, it says that anti or substitute Christ, the little horn power, will come from those who destroyed the city of Jerusalem and the temple. Now, who was that? Those were the Romans, all right? So not only do we have the last kingdom on earth being Roman before Jesus comes back, but also the man or anti-substitute Christ would come from those who destroyed the city and the temple. That was Rome, all right? So this is establishing who our little horn of Daniel is and what to look for. So in Daniel chapter 7, verse 7, the Roman Empire is identified as who this man will come from. And of course, the armies under Titus destroyed the temple and the city. Let's skip over to Daniel 9:26. I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can for you so I can get to Revelation as well. Okay. All right. Yep. Daniel 9:26, after 62 sevens, the anointed one will be cut off and will have nothing. And the people of the ruler who will come. Okay, now this is going back to Jesus being cut off, giving his life for us. It says here, the anointed one in capitals will be cut off and have nothing. This is when Jesus went to the cross for you and for I, those who are his elect sheep. And then it goes on to say, the people of the ruler who will come. So who is this ruler that will come? None other than the little horn of Daniel, the Antichrist, the substitute Christ that will be revealed in the fourth Roman Empire, the last kingdom in the world before Christ's feet touch the Mount of Olives at his second coming. The people of the ruler, who is the Antichrist, who will come, will destroy the city and the sanctuary. So here we have a confirmation that not only is the final empire on earth that rides this beast New World Order system, the Romans, that we learned in Daniel 7:7, but it is confirmed that this ruler in Daniel 9:26 will also come from the people that destroyed the temple and the city, which is Rome again. So are you seeing where this is pointing? Let's go to Daniel 11:37. All right, let's see here. He will show no regard for the gods of his fathers. Now, this is talking about the anti-substitute Christ on earth and that final world system before Christ comes back. So what this means is he is not regarding the God of his fathers. He doesn't regard any other God, it's going to say, because he will exalt himself to be worshipped above all that is called God. He will show no regard for the gods of his fathers or for the one desired by women. Now, some translations say he will have no regard for the desire of women. And as we discussed yesterday, that means that the popes or this little horn power will not marry. They don't believe in marrying. It's fine for everyone else, not for them. So what Daniel is doing is placing identifying marks on this anti-substitute Christ power that will be the final ruling system on earth when Christ comes back. And there will be a single man or a single vicarious filii Dei sitting in Vatican City when the Lord comes back. I believe that the Antichrist system is the papal dynasty. Will there be a final pope who will be that man of sin prophesied? Absolutely. But right now I want to focus on the papal dynasty, the papal system, that little horn power that Daniel speaks of here coming from Rome and being from the final world government system, which is Roman, when the Lord comes back to set up his kingdom. So he will not have, he will regard no God, okay, because he'll exalt himself above all that is called God, and he will not regard the desire of women. Popes don't marry. All right, let me see here. Let's skip to Revelation 17 and 18. So this Antichrist or little horn comes from Rome. He'll come from the people that destroyed the city and the temple, which is Rome. And Rome in Daniel 7:7 is identified as being the fourth and final beast kingdom, which is the New World Order. This New World Order is none other than the Roman papal system. As a matter of fact, in Revelation 17, it states that Vatican City State rules over the kings of the earth. She, meaning the false church, a woman in prophecy, is a church. She rides the kings of the earth. She rides the beast. The beast is this final Roman kingdom that devours the whole world that Daniel saw. And the head of this system that rides and rules the kings of the earth, this New World Order beast system, is none other than the papal dynasty, which was reestablished in 1929 when the 1929 Lateran Treaty was signed. That's when the little horn was healed of its deadly wound. As a matter of fact, there are newspaper articles, if you Google this, that go back to stating the deadly wound healed. And it was talking about when the Vatican City State became established again in 1929. Look this up, and there are newspaper headlines that say deadly wound healed. So this is literally being taken verbatim out of the book of Daniel. This little horn's deadly wound has been healed. The papacy went into a desert experience for centuries, didn't exist. So in 1929, when the Lateran Treaty was established, putting the Vatican City State in control, that is when the harlot church began to ride the New World Order beast system and rule over the kings of the earth. So I want to start reading in Revelation chapter 17 and start showing you how all of this in Revelation definitely identifies who this little horn Roman Antichrist, substitute Christ power was revealed in the book of Daniel to him. So I want to see how this compares. The woman on the beast, again, in scripture and prophecy, a woman represents a church. There is a false church, a harlot church, which we'll read here, and there is the true church, the born again, spirit-filled, elect body and bride of Christ. They are two different things. Revelation 17, one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits on many waters. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries." Now, what does this mean? Vatican is in bed with all of the religions of the earth. The Vatican is heavily into ecumenism. Every pope has been preaching that we all worship the same God. It doesn't matter who you call God, by what name. It doesn't matter. We're all children of God. This is prostituting yourself. You say you stand for the name of Christ, but you're prostituting yourself with the nations of the earth and their pagan gods. Let's face it, the Vatican for decades now has hosted prayer meetings with all kinds of different pagan religions and advocating each one can pray to their own God and worship in their own way because we're all children of God. This is heresy. We are not all children of God. We are all creations of God. We are not all children of God. To be a child of God, you must be born again, Jesus said, of his Spirit. There's a difference. All right, so this adultery she, meaning the Vatican, is committing with the kings of the earth, is fornicating herself with all these different pagan religions of the world, and she's in bed with them. This is what God is calling it. Then I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet-colored beast. Now, this woman is Vatican City State. The scarlet-colored beast is the New World Order beast system, and she's riding that system. So if you want to know who's pulling the reins behind the scenes in this government world system, look no further than Papal Rome and the Vatican. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and we've covered this before, that this church is dressed in purple and scarlet. And we've seen this before in pictures online. We've discussed this, that the bishops and cardinals wear purple and scarlet. Even the Pope has done this at times. She's decked with precious stones and pearls. The Vatican is exceedingly wealthy. Have you looked at the treasures within the Vatican? The precious stones and pearls? And in her cup and in her hand was a golden cup filled with abominable things and filth of her adulteries. So this golden cup is the cup of the Mass. So here, to me, Vatican City State and the papacy is being very clearly identified here. And on her forehead is written, Mystery, Babylon the Great. Now, Babylon was a pagan religion, and it also incorporated many other pagan religions within it in order to please the people. Now, this is what the Vatican is doing. In order to please the flesh, please man, in order to get more followers, Satan is causing the papal dynasty in Rome to incorporate and love and get in bed with all these other pagan religions of the world. So she's called Mystery Babylon. It's a mystery because this Mystery Babylon looks godly on the outside. The Pope tries to look like a lamb. He wears white while everyone else wears black. So he tries to stand out and look like a lamb on the outside. Paul says that Satan comes as an angel of light. So Papal Rome is a Mystery Babylon to people because outwardly, if you're merely looking at the outward appearance of the Vatican, you won't see it. You have to dig more deeply. Don't just take what someone looks like on the outside, no matter how godly they appear, and take their word for things. Are they appearing as an angel of light, but truly deceiving on the inside? All right. So it's saying here that she's holding the golden cup in her hand, dressed in purple and scarlet. This woman is riding the New World Order beast system. So actually, if you look up Daniel 7:24 and Revelation 17:12, so let's go to Revelation 17:12. They confirm one another. Daniel 7:24 are the 10 horns of the 10 kings who this kingdom will come from, and this little horn. The 10 kings are 10 kingdoms, all right? And this little horn of Daniel, meaning the papal power, will come from them. Revelation 17:12 confirms this when the angel tells John, the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. So this little horn of Daniel rises up out of these 10 kingdoms. So Daniel 7:24 and Revelation 17:12 completely confirm one another. In Revelation 18, we see the fall of Mystery Babylon. So there will be a judgment in 1 day, in 1 hour, coming against Vatican City State. So let's read this, and starting in Revelation 18. After this, I saw another angel coming down from heaven. He had great authority, and the earth was illuminated by his splendor. Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. So we've established this Mystery Babylon is Vatican City State, headed by the Pope of Rome, the vicarious Filii Dei, the little horn of Daniel, the anti-substitute Christ, who is none other than the Pope. So apparently this angel is prophesying the fall of Mystery Babylon. She has become a home for every evil spirit, for all the nations have drunk of her wine and of her fornications. It says here, rejoice over her, O heaven, in verse 20. Rejoice, saints and apostles and prophets. God has judged her for the way she treated you. So there is coming a judgment on the Vatican. The Vatican will fall one day. And this is prophesied yet to come. So where we are right now, from Daniel 7 Daniel 9, Daniel 11. If you're looking for specific chapters in Daniel to compare to Revelation 17 and 18, what we're up to right now is Revelation 17, where we are in history, I believe. We're waiting for Revelation 18 to take place, where God will judge the Vatican for her sorceries, it says, for her abominations, and for deceiving untold billions of people. Now, Satan is the one behind all this. Our battle is not against flesh and blood. Satan's false church or counterfeit church is deceiving billions in this world. Satan will not openly oppose God all the time, looking evil and dark. There are times he will come as an angel of light. This is why Babylon the Great in Revelation is a mystery Babylon, because on the outside she appears godly to men. Let me see here. All right, it says here, backtracking in Revelation 18, backtracking to verse 15, the merchants who sold these things and gained their wealth from her will stand far off, terrified at her torment. So apparently she is going to be judged in one day, and the merchants and the worldly companies and governments of the world who do business with the Vatican are going to stand off terrified at what they see happening to the Vatican. They will weep and mourn and cry out, woe, woe, O great city, dressed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, Vatican City State, and glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. In 1 hour, such great wealth has been brought to ruin. Every sea captain and all who travel by ship, the sailors and all who earn their living from the sea will stand far off. When they see the smoke of her burning, her again, meaning Vatican City State, the mother of harlots, the mother church, she calls herself, the Vatican does. When they see the smoke of her burning, the false church, Vatican City State, they will exclaim, was there ever a city like this great city? Isn't that what people say today? All the world leaders go to the Vatican. He hardly ever goes to any world leaders. They all come to him. And when they do, they're dressed in black to show submission to the Pope. They will throw dust on their heads and with weeping and mourning cry out, woe, woe, O great city, where all who had ships on the sea became rich through her wealth, meaning Vatican City State. In 1 hour she has been brought to ruin. And the very last verse I want to read to you here out of Revelation 17 is God is specifically placing the blame on this mystery Babylon, this mother harlot church, this counterfeit church. He is specifically placing the blame for every person who has ever been slaughtered on the earth to her. Doubt it? Listen to this. Revelation 17:24. In her, meaning Vatican City State, the papal dynasty, the little horn, was found the blood of prophets and of the saints and of all who have been killed on the earth. In her was found the blood of prophets and of the saints and of all who have been killed on the earth. So what we see here, in my opinion, is a complete revelation from Daniel. You can go back to Daniel 7, Daniel 9, and Daniel 11. Those are the 3 chapters you want to start reading. Go to Revelation 17 and compare those with what you read in the book of Daniel. But Revelation 18 talks about the eventual destruction of the Vatican City State. Am I happy to see this happen? No, I'm not, because God says he takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. But this is prophesied to happen. There is a counterfeit church that looks godly on the outside but denies the power. That looks like a lamb on the outside but speaks the words of the dragon. The dragon is Satan. And Revelation says Satan has successfully deceived the whole world. Are you interested in learning who this man of sin, this vicarious filii Dei is, this anti-substitute replacement Christ is, who will rule the 4th and final beast system? Ask God to give you wisdom. He says in Daniel chapter 2 that he will reveal deep and hidden things if you seek him. The papal dynasty, Vatican City State, was reestablished in 1929 with the Lateran Treaty. The mortal wound was healed. The papal dynasty are those kings, that seed of a man, adding up to 666, that will rule and reign over this final 4th beast system until Jesus returns physically to the Mount of Olives. So I wanted to do a little bit of a recap for those of you who may be new to this. Some of the things I said yesterday may be a little vague, so I hope that this helped clear some of this up for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me on this channel. I'd be glad to answer them, or if there's something you'd like to see discussed in more detail, I can prayerfully consider making a video about it, and hopefully that will answer some questions. But I do not believe that our Antichrist the Antichrist will come from a Muslim nation, nor be Jewish. To me, the Spirit has revealed to me in the book of Daniel that the man we are to look for, that power, that seat of authority will come from the Roman Empire. Daniel says that man, that little horn, that Antichrist, that man of sin will come from those who destroyed Jerusalem and the temple. That was the Romans. The fourth and final kingdom mentioned in Daniel is the Roman Empire. Even in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, the final kingdom before the Lord comes back to set his kingdom up on earth is Rome. What we see in Revelation 17 is that Rome, through Vatican City State, is ruling the kings of the earth. She is riding the beast, which is the New World Order system that we are living in today. And Jesus is coming back very soon to put that system under his feet. The popes of Rome, and this is another video that I should do for another time, have claimed for a long time to be God on earth. If you doubt this, please Google it. Papal claims to deity. Google it and find out. Please study it for yourself. It's there. Daniel prophesied that he would proclaim himself God and be worshipped as God. Many popes have claimed this, and none of them have rescinded it. I wanted to bring to light these things because we're walking around believing that, the Antichrist is going to come from a Muslim nation, and everyone's saying, well, who is he? We don't know who he is. He hasn't been revealed yet. Yes, he has been revealed. And I believe it's none other than the Pope of Rome, the anti-substitute Christ, dressed in purple and scarlet, coming from that city of purple and scarlet, holding a golden cup of the Mass, sitting on a city of 7 hills. And she is called the Mother Church, the Harlot Church, Mystery Babylon. She invites pagan religions to come in and looks like a mystery to people because she looks godly on the outside, but she's in bed with all the pagan religions of the world and committing fornication against the Lord. And in her lap, God has laid at her feet all those who have died on the face of the earth. And that's in Revelation chapter 17. Please study to show yourself approved. The man of sin has been revealed in the papal dynasty in Rome and Vatican City State. And the clock started ticking again, the prophetic clock, in 1929 when that Lateran Treaty was signed. Thank you for listening, and I hope this helped some of you today. God bless you.